Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Profluent Sports. I love ones like this. It gets me super excited for what we've built when we get someone like Ryan Silver, who came on the podcast, I don't know, a year, 2 years ago, crushing it after an acquisition, goes and builds another one, and recently got acquired, wants to come on the show to announce it, break it down. So Ryan Silver, appreciate you coming on. Excited to hop into this one today.
Thank you for allowing me to be on here. Really honored. You do an incredible job in the space, and seems like you become the industry leader now for any people that have sold their companies to private equity, and really glad to be on.
That's the goal. So I guess off that, give us the high level attitude of gratitude. Tell us what it is, what you've built it up to, and then obviously the acquisition, the details around that and who the acquiring party is, and we'll flow from there.
Yeah, no, just incredible to be back again. Started Attitude of Gratitude with the mindset of really having an attitude of gratitude for the kids, for the parents, for the coaches, trying to change kind of somewhat of the mind shift in youth sports. And this theme of attitude of gratitude is something that I learned with my struggles in Alcoholics Anonymous, and just being grateful, being appreciative, being thankful. So youth sports obviously is hotter than it's ever been right now. It's one of the hottest sectors in all of business. When I started Attitude of Gratitude in January, I was approached immediately by numerous different private equity groups. Almost every week I was getting a different call from a different private equity group. And, Jake Sloan and the team at Rocket Youth Brands was by far the most impressive. And, I feel like Jake Sloan is a superstar. Obviously, him and his partner, Frank, have had incredible success rolling up companies. And the team they built with the CEO, Eric Rapps, who's terrific, and Lauren Miller and Colin McNeil that does the acquisitions there, the head of M&A, is also just a star. I couldn't speak highly of Colin.
I love that. Now, give us the high level of attitude of gratitude, right? What is the business? What are the lines? What have you built it into prior, just for people that don't have a concept, obviously in youth sports, but, have a lot of different components to it, with events being a major piece.
Yes, I think in 2026 we'll be the second largest operator in the country in grassroots basketball. I think Zero Gravity is probably the largest operator based in Boston. But we'll have over 200 events, 200 basketball tournaments in 2026. We're currently operating in 11 states, and we've now grown into other sports. We actually just had our first soccer camps this weekend. So we had back-to-back youth soccer camps. We brought in a young guy who graduated from Virginia, Duke Durand, who's running our soccer division, who's been terrific. And then we're starting our volleyball events. We partnered with a group in Southern California. So we're going to do volleyball camps and high academic volleyball camps starting in 2026. So over 200 basketball tournaments, one of the largest camp operators, in youth basketball in the United States, both in the high academic space and, regular camp basketball. And just really excited, obviously learned a tremendous amount from my time at Three Step Sports, and very grateful to everyone there, but learning how to grow the right way and make decisions to continue to help people in their lives.
Yeah, this is awesome. You're one of the very few. We were trying to put together a list, privately behind the scenes of individuals that have sold at least more than one youth sports company. You're one of the few. So give us the rundown on the first one, right? At West Coast Elite, you sold it to Three Step. You briefly mentioned that. And then obviously now Attitude of Gratitude into the Rocket Youth ecosystem.
Yeah, no, obviously West Coast Elite built that up to one of the largest event operators in the country in youth basketball. And our team's business, I believe, we're the largest AAU program in the country at that time, and had an incredible run at Three Step. And again, learned a lot and grew and got better in many areas, and continue to grow and get better. I think, people understand youth sports is a very difficult business. I think people don't understand how hard it is to operate these tournaments and events. And there's a lot of expenses for gyms and referees and staff, and making sure that things run smoothly. So I've really learned a lot and have grown a lot. And I think Attitude of Gratitude is something much bigger, bigger and smarter and better. This theme of gratitude and appreciation is something that I try to, implement every day in my life, and try to implement into all of our events. One of the goals for Attitude of Gratitude is that all of the kids will come to tournaments with gratitude lists, and that's something we talk about at all of our events.
Yeah, and it's super cool to see just because youth sports, and obviously, there's two sides of the coin of it, but the commercialization of it is great, and you've obviously benefited from that. But then also bringing the impact side in, and teaching and the gratitude and all that, and the impact side. And so it's cool to see you merge the two together. I'm curious because you obviously went more on the team side with West Coast Elite, and then with Attitude of Gratitude's been more the events and the operations. Learnings from both, differences from both, just general insights that are helpful to people that aren't familiar with either or.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big misconception of people on the team side of the business, which is our all elite program, is that, people are making millions of dollars and they're making money off these kids. And, the reality of high level AAU grassroots basketball, nobody's making money. Nobody's making a dollar. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to fly these kids and sometimes families across the country. You're in Atlanta or Chicago or these different places for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, sometimes 10 plus days. So that side of the business is you're really just helping the kids. And there's so many AAU coaches that do this out of the goodness of their heart and just help kids. But it's very hard to build a business on the team side of the business. Whereas obviously the tournaments is completely different. You're able to really build a business out of that and help a lot of people and impact communities and create jobs within communities. And I think that's, again, one of the things that Rocket Youth Brands is really focused on, is enriching youth sports and enriching communities and creating opportunities. And I think Jake Sloan's vision is just fantastic in that regard.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about Rocket Youth for people that aren't familiar. Obviously now going under their umbrella, they have some other assets. They've raised money themselves to go and capture into the space. Just give people a high-level overview of them, just for context.
Yeah, so Rocket Youth Brands, I believe they've acquired 15 or 16 different companies, is my understanding. The founders, Jake Sloan and Frank and Eric Rapps, the three co-founders, are absolutely fantastic. I think I was approached by every single private equity group in the space, every player, major player, and Jake Sloan just really stood out to me. So impressive, so smart. Jake and Frank are both Harvard guys. Lauren Miller, their VP of strategies at Yale, and Colin McNeil, their M&A. Again, just really impressive. But they have a different model where they partner with operators as opposed to buying 100% of your business. They'll partner with you. They'll buy 50, 60, 70% of your business. So you're still an owner in the business. You're still operating your business with them. And they've assembled this incredible team with accounting and marketing and different things, so you can really work on what you do best, which is help the kids, help the coaches. And if you look at our all elite coaching tree over the last however many years, 15 years, I think we have over 50 coaches now coaching at the collegiate level, and that just makes me feel so good that we have coaches coaching all over the country in the NBA. So a lot of lives impacted. And then you look at, the all elite teams, our impact within the California community is bigger than any mid-major college, in the state of California in terms of buying uniforms and shoes. And obviously we've had a fantastic relationship with Under Armour for 15 years now, going on 16 years, and very grateful for that.
I want to go on to something that we all hear a lot about, but we don't often get the intangibles or what some of the rollout looks like. But we hear, hey, private equity comes into Attitude of Gratitude, and you see the headlines, or, even you listen to this podcast. But what does that look like now, right? Like, it's a cool event for you. It's cool for them. Now, what is that next phase? Where does it go? What is behind the scenes with what you can share of, like, okay, we're coming in, we got through all the legal, we got through all the negotiating, the financials. All right, now the goal is to keep growing this thing, but obviously still keeping the impact and, the vision you had at the beginning. What does that layout rollout look like between now Attitude of Gratitude and Rocket Youth?
Yeah, I mean, they just want to make our business better, and they want to help more people and impact more lives. We've helped hundreds and hundreds and thousands of kids get to Division I, Division II, Division III level. Hundreds of millions of dollars in scholarships. We'll be approaching $1 billion in scholarships at some point that, we've helped kids and families with on our all in elite side. So they come in, they have a marketing department to help you get better at marketing. They have a finance and accounting department, running these tournaments and referee payments and paying staff, paying scorekeepers. So they help you get better in all of these areas so you can help become better in helping kids and helping coaches and help different people. But they're very organized, very detailed in every specific part of your business to help you get better in each part of your business. And I know I spoke, but Lauren Miller, who's their VP of strategies, is really, really talented. She's a very bright star in youth sports.
And what is their goal, right? And again, I know it's not them speaking. We can get Jake or any of these guys on. Obviously, it'd be cool to hear from their side. But I'm just curious from your side, how are they pitching? What is their ultimate goal, right? What do they want to make happen, right? You want to go build these events up. You have a liquidation, but you want to impact as many kids as possible across the country in as many sports. What's their ultimate, plan and goal across all these increasing assets that they're getting?
I think just to enrich as many lives as possible and help change as many lives as possible and help partner with these great businesses and create these incredible experiences for kids and families and coaches and players. The more we're able to get more organized and better, the more we're able to impact more lives. I think the big picture here is helping as many people. I've learned through my experiences with Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, the more that I get outside of myself and help others, the better that I feel.
Love that. Also, for people not aware, there is a tie-in. You could probably trace some of this with press reports or press releases, but Maverick Carter involved in some way. I don't know if you want to touch on any of that and the involvement of some, other people behind the scenes of both Rocket Youth and then obviously now with Attitude of Gratitude and the broader scheme. What does that look like?
I know Maverick is involved with Rocket Youth. I got the opportunity to meet with him, and such an impressive guy. Obviously a titan in sports and business, and just such an impressive guy, and was truly honored to meet with Maverick and learn from him and get better. He's built so many incredible businesses, and that's someone who's just an absolute titan in sports.
Yeah, and for people not familiar, Carter, LeBron James, it's all tied in. You can probably just give a quick Google or Chat GPT search, and you'll find out all that information. Going forward now, I want to go a little broader on youth sports as a whole. Where's the space headed? Where's it going? What are you seeing? Obviously, like you mentioned, a lot of private equity money coming in, a lot of interest in the space. But you're the one building it. You're the one on the day-to-day. You're the one making transactions happen while making tournaments happen. What are you seeing? What are the major trends?
Yeah, obviously youth sports is the biggest that it's ever been. I've seen some figures say it's a $40 to $80 billion industry. And just for reference, the NBA is like an $8 billion industry. NFL football is a $12 billion industry. So youth sports is much bigger, and it's certainly much more impactful in many ways. You look at a lot of these great AAU programs and the impact they have on the communities and the people within the communities, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And, I think it's a very different time in youth sports. I think youth sports have become a lot more of an experience. People want to come to these events, and we offer yoga or Pilates for the moms at our events. They can come early in the morning, and they can come to Vegas and stay in a nice hotel and have a nice meal or several nice meals. So I think it's become more of an experience. And again, a lot of the work that some of these AAU directors and coaches, grassroots directors have done is just incredible. For some reason, sometimes there's a negative narrative around AAU or AAU directors, but I couldn't disagree with that more. I think there's so many amazing AAU directors that have done so much and have helped change so many lives.
Yeah, I agree. And how do you see, obviously, private equity money you've now gone through it twice. Is that changing at all? Or how are they thinking about the space differently maybe today than they were when you went through West Coast Elite with 3-Step? What does that side of the coin look like?
Yeah, I think youth sports is in the best space it's ever been in. Events are more organized, better referees, better facilities, better opportunities. And, we have an incredible scholarship program where, no kid is left behind. So sometimes people say, oh, it's only for rich kids now. No, that's not accurate. We've never in the 15 years of our program not allowed a kid to play with All in Elite. Finances were an issue. We have incredible financial aid programs. So we take every single kid into our program. And I think it's creating better opportunities for kids, better opportunities for parents, more organized, better run events, and just continues to grow and get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and NIL, name, image, and likeness, college sports, obviously going through a shift. What do you see happening in that side where now the pipeline to college, obviously, like you've mentioned, you've sent thousands of kids to the next level, but that space is changing and evolving as well. What are you guys doing on that front? What are you paying attention to? What do you see? Any thoughts or insights of where it might go as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's wonderful. I think it's great that the kids are getting paid. I think it's fantastic. I know a lot of negative stuff there as well, like, oh, kids shouldn't get paid, all about the education. But I think it's fantastic. I love that kids are getting paid. But college sports have completely transformed and continue to transform daily, continues to evolve daily. NIL is here to stay. Kids are definitely getting paid substantial sums of money, millions of dollars in some instances, hundreds of thousands of dollars in many instances. And I think it's good. I think it's good for the sport. And obviously, guardrails will continue to come and evolve as time goes by. But these kids produce a lot of money and revenue for these universities. So it's an ever changing, evolving landscape daily.
That it is. Yeah. No, anything else you want to leave us on, Ryan? Obviously, this has been great. I think we've hit all the main topics, but any final quoting words to close this out, or any other things that we didn't touch on you wanna get to?
No, I'm just very appreciative and grateful of you, Andrew, and I've been watching you for many, many years now, and so impressed by you and all the amazing things that you do across all of sports, youth sports, professional sports, college sports. So very honored to be here. And, in closing, I'll just say attitude of gratitude. That's our theme. That's what we're about. That's what we try to live our lives by on a daily basis, and being appreciative and being grateful and being thankful is truly what we're about.
Love that. And attitudeofgratitude.com, where can people check out, learn more for those that are listening?
Yeah, www.attitudeofgratitude.com. That's our
Amazing.
website. We have golf coming in 2026. We just had our first soccer events this weekend. We have our first volleyball events coming up. So not only basketball, but golf, volleyball, tennis, soccer. We're trying to impact youth sports in many different ways with an attitude of gratitude.
Yep. And just quickly on that, that's a big part of the future plans, more sports, more events, touch as many as possible. Anything else?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, just continue to impact as many lives as possible.
I love it. Ryan Silver, appreciate you coming on today. This has been awesome. Congrats on the Rocket Youth times Attitude of Gratitude partnership deal acquisition. And we'll get you back on inevitably when the next big thing happens with you shortly. So keep crushing it. And this has been a great one today. I'm sure a ton of people got awesome insights because this space is evolving fast and people are very interested in it. So this was a great one.
Thank you so much.